Uh, all right.
Skype is so weird. Skype is so weird.
We can talk all about that if you want.
Yeah.
We're contracted to Zoom, so
I'm so sorry. I'm just a little silly man that knows how to use basic communicational tools.
Aw.
Zoom is so much easier. Zoom is so much easier than Skype. It is just really user friendly.
I saw that you have to like pay for it. That's why I was like, oh, I don't know. Or am I wrong?
no.
We'll get 40 minutes free.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's just one, it's free forever. But if it's more than 2 people, then yeah, you have to pay over 40 minutes.
Okay.
I've got to be honest though, I feel like it's easier to talk in a group on this because like I can hear what multiple people are saying at the same time, whereas on Zoom it's like the other person gets silenced if someone else is talking.
That's true.
Is Emma God? Because like I can't see her, but I want to look up.
Turn the camera on. You can't be that
You've
close.
been good today.
Emma,
Keep
when I
praying.
finish this video, host will be dead and gone by the next year. Don't be.
Are you looking that bad?
No pressure.
Really. Guys, we were drinking yesterday because it was our rap party, and today I look awful.
Oh.
It's so bad.
It's such a lie.
Oh, it's not.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Welcome to Dead Headspace. I am your host, Patrick R. McDonough, joined always by my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hi, Brennan.
Hello, everybody.
And today we have with us the trio, the screenwriter of many, including Dawn of the Deaf and host Jed Shepherd.
Woo!
As well as Haley Bishop and Emma Louise Webb.
Yeah.
Say hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, guys. Old joke.
Hi, guys.
Bad joke.
And I just have a quick question before we start. Have you guys heard of Buzz Book Expo?
No, I haven't.
What
I'd
is
love
it?
to learn more about it.
Oh, sure. Well, it goes like this. Hey, readers, book reviewers, podcasters, librarians, booksellers, and lovers of great, scary books. BuzzBook Expo 2020 is just around the corner. BuzzBook Expo is a live streaming event in which publishers will be announcing all the great new horror fiction releases they have to offer through the coming year. There will be interviews, Q&As, presentations. Jed, Haley, and Emma, there's even book cover reveals and more from all your favorite horror publishers, all for free.
That sounds really good, genuinely.
That sounds great. I don't know, what cool authors are there, do you know?
What's that?
What cool authors are there this year?
I know that Mary San Giovanni's there, and she is pretty awesome if you like cosmic horror. To answer all that, you can find out all the info on Mary Sangi. That is marysangi.wordpress.com/BuzzBookExpo 2020. We hope to see you there.
Yeah.
Yay!
That was smooth. That was real smooth.
Can I just say that website address is catchy. It goes on forever. It's like .com/net_book.
Thankfully, we'll put it in the show notes so you can click it instead of having to, scribe it as we go.
Good idea.
Nah, make them work for it.
So we got a base question that you can take it in so many directions. Whoever wants to answer first, feel free to jump in. But what got any of you into horror?
I always watched it as a kid. As a teenager, like always used to go to the cinema and watch films. I remember one of the first scary films I ever watched was Shaun of the Dead, which is like a UK
Oh my
comedy.
God. Yes, I love Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you've got red on you, by the way. No, but I was terrified of that when I was really young, and like I used to hate horror. And then, as a teenager, I just started loving it. Final Destination, The Descent, like all of them, love it.
Did
The
you?
Descent's a great choice.
Yep.
It's about a group of girls who are facing up to like evil, and so yeah, that's very very similar to kind of Host.
What about the other Simon Pegg films? Did you ever watch Which one? Hot
Paul?
Fuzz was great. Paul was funny as hell. Seth Rogen and him. I mean, who doesn't like seeing that?
Yeah.
And then, the one at the end of the world.
Well,
Yeah.
At World's End is the
That's
end
it.
of that Cornetto trilogy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cornetto trilogy.
I've got to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Simon Pegg movies. I think he
Oh,
plays
man.
the same character in every single one of them.
But he's
Yeah.
a great character.
Yeah.
That's why.
It just isn't for me. Shaun of the Dead's is fine, but it's just like a jukebox of other movies.
Boo! I love Simon Pegg. Get out of here.
It's well put together. It is very well put together. Obviously, because the director's great and Space was great. I love Space. I'm just not a fan of Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or At World's End. They're not for me. No, they're not for me.
Okay, well,
But horror-wise,
I don't know how to segue. Yeah, what got you in the horror, Jed?
I mean, like I just absolutely love horror, and I always have since a kid. I think the first horror film I ever watched was someone's older brother gave me a copy of Evil Dead 2, and my friend and I didn't have an older brother, so I didn't have that access to like cool adult horror films. So like the scariest I'd kind of watched up until then was probably something like Gremlins. So to watch something like Evil Dead 2 just blew me away, because it was just like, oh wow, you can have something that's really gory and really funny at the same time, and that kind of blew my mind. But yeah, I mean, all day, every day, I'm watching horror films. That's all I really care about, and that's going to be me till the end of time, I think. Hayley?
I'm the opposite. I'm such a wimp. I'm like, the most horror films I watched was Rob showing us clips of films during the filming of Host, because my dad showed me Arachnophobia when I was like 6 years old, and just like I feel like I got all my horror films in under the age of 9, and just was scarred for life, because everybody, like, I have an older brother who was just showing me things well before I was supposed to be watching them. And now
maybe they're trying to toughen you up, and it backfired.
It didn't work. It backfired. But
my older brother used to play COD Zombies with me from like age 12. So like, I mean, that's not really horror, is it? But
it kind of is.
Kind of get me ready for that life. I don't know.
I mean, that sounds fun. I love The Walking Dead, and like the zombie films, I think are not. I don't find them horror. I'm just like, they're challenges. Like I definitely know how to survive in that, so I don't find it scary.
That's fair. So, okay, what kind of do you tend to, for you, Hayley, do you tend to find yourself going towards a different kind of genre?
I think I love comedy. I think, like, so I do love, like, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and like even not that Get Out is a comedy, but it's I like the funny horror. I mean, Jed knows I've recently written a little horror short film that's more comedy, and I sent it to Jed, and he was like, you need to have her like kill people in the end. I was like, it's supposed to be funny, and he's like, trust me. And so then I've learned to, I feel like it just being friends with Jed and Rob and this whole process is actually, it has opened up my mind to actually wanting to watch more horror. Like Rob showed us a clip from Midsummer. That I'd heard Midsummer was really scary, so I didn't watch it when it came out. And then he showed us this little clip, which, spoiler of the guys jumping off the cliff.
Yep.
And which is, I don't know what this says about me, but I watched that and I was like, ooh, this movie looks interesting. And I watched it and I was like, this is pretty fucked up, but it's actually really good. So
yeah, the rest of us were like behind closed hands, like, oh, never watching this, and you were like, oh.
I was like, ooh.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. Hayley, are you gonna make that horror short then?
Yeah, as soon as I get funding for it, it's gonna be out and all.
How much do you need?
I think like 10 grand. Pound.
I'm sure.
Anyone knows some funders?
Oh, I've got a spare.
It's really good. No, it's really good. It's a really good short.
Well,
you whistling?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I am hearing a whistle.
Do you guys hear a whistle?
I
A
do.
slight one.
I must, because that was you last night.
Does someone have a fan?
It's not me.
Oh yeah, I've got a fan. Is that what it is?
It might be. I don't know.
Jed.
Has it hold on.
Wait, it's already stopped, right?
I've just pointed it in a different direction.
No.
Hmm.
No, I don't think that's me.
I think oh,
Oh,
maybe.
it's the fan of the laptop of my laptop, maybe.
Holy shit, that's a loud fan for a laptop.
The
Yeah.
laptop's gonna
It's
explode.
going to
Take
reach
off.
the max. It's from the 80s.
Okay, let me put that way.
Sorry, we've derailed this. I'm already really enjoying this podcast.
All right. No, Jed, stop. Emma, stop. I'm ending there. Bye.
Yeah.
So,
And, to throw it out there, I mean, if all of our listeners can kick in $1,000, we could probably fund that project.
no, we can't. We only got like 3 people that listen.
So 3.3
Hey.
grand then.
All right, that's fine.
It's closer.
Yeah, and
Something.
then you get. I don't know if you're going to use any of the girls from Host Haley, but surely that's going to be quite
I mean,
the
I
more
am
girls to use. The probably more people will invest
Yeah,
in it.
Haley.
Well, I've seen Haley in 2 things, Host and Dawn of the Deaf. And I wasn't sure when we were going to talk about that, but fuck it. Let's talk about it now. Oh, yeah, by the way, some guests asked if you can swear in this. Go ahead.
I took the liberty and just went for it, or I forgot to ask.
So, just real quick, Dawn of the Deaf, I watched that a few days ago, and I'm like, this is pretty neat. Okay, I'm halfway in. I'm like, I just did not stop and think about what it would be like to be deaf. I'm very much so like a privileged white male in every sense. I'm healthy, so I don't think about that. And it's a shame, but watching a film like that, truthfully, not because it's you guys that were in it and you wrote it, Jed, but it made me think. And I'm like, this is interesting. I want to see more of this. And it's cool because like right now you got like Bird Box is a recent movie, and then you got Quiet Place, and that all deals with your senses. That's what Dawn of the Deaf dealt with, and then the ending happens, and I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna leave me like that?
You'll notice in every single one of our shorts and in Host, we end it pretty similar. Like we leave the audience hanging. We don't. There's no resolution. It's always
Ever.
Yeah, we lead you to the edge of the water and we threaten to push you in, but we just leave you on the edge. So in your mind, it's up to you if you jump in or step back.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that's probably. I mean, Host is probably my favorite thing now because it's new. But like Dawn of the Deaf is what me and Rob were known for, and I guess the girls were known for quite a long time.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how did it start? Where did the germ of the
Yeah.
idea for that begin?
So the original idea was I was going to direct it, and I'd almost set it up, but
Oh, I didn't
Then
know
I'm-
that.
yeah, and like with some of the same crew, with the same sign language guy who taught Haley and Radina and Caroline to sign. So it was very similar, but it was a bit more comedic than Rob's version. So I had, and it was like actually a Christmas movie. It was set at Christmas. But then I met Rob and I pitched it to him, the first thing, and I'd seen something he'd done. I was like, wow, this guy's good. So I was like, I want to do this. I really like your style. I really like what you've done. He'd only really done like a comedy stuff. He'd never done a horror thing before. But I was like, I really like how you've created these worlds. So I gave it to him, and he made it what it is. Like he made it art house stroke amazing. He built upon like the foundation that I kind of like brought to him, and like he even says he was so jealous. As soon as I said the idea, he was so jealous. So he was just bugging me intently until it could be like me and him doing it. And then and no one would give us any money for it because if you try and pitch a film about deaf people with subtitles to anyone, they're not going to give you any money. So we just used our own money. We used our own money, and we also convinced the Central School of Speech and Drama, which is like one of the best drama schools in the UK. We convinced them to give us a little bit of money, and we got to use their brilliant actors as well, which included Haley and Radina and Caroline. And Gemma actually went to that school as well, but she was in the the year above. Yeah, but again, I don't think anyone had faith it was going to be any good besides me and Rob. So we made it, and we thought we had something special, and then we started putting it into festivals, and then it just went crazy, and we ended up being in over, I think, 300 festivals, all of the big ones around the world. We won so many awards: Sundance, London Film Festival, Citrus, Fantasia, Fantastic Fest, all of them. We won awards, like pretty much all of them. So we're like, okay, cheers, Emma. So yeah,
what the hell was that?
So we were like, we know what we're doing now. So yeah, and obviously, like, it's great because the performances from the girls in that are just so good. People genuinely thought they were deaf because of their acting was so good.
I'm proud of that. I'm still very proud of that.
Until host, now fucked one of the deaf.
I was, and then I did this one, and I was like, that one. No, I mean, Dawn of the Deaf was, I remember even when we got the script in our school and you were told, like, you were cast in this thing, and even all the rehearsals, because, you know, Radina and I did obviously play a couple and had loads of rehearsals with Rob, and it wasn't until we stepped on set where we were like, oh no, this guy's legit. You know, at that point, that was one of the best, most professional sets where I was actually, you know, other than I've worked in TV and film loads, but at that kind of level, it's the most professional set I'd been on, and the most I'd actually been like, oh, I actually feel like an actor now. I've got you know, we had Alexi, who's our costume designer on Host as well, was our costume designer, and she was, you know, amazing, really attentive, and we had the wonderful Samuel Dorr, who's an interpreter, who is also a director and a photographer as well, and he taught us all the sign language for that. So we did about 2 months of rehearsal just so we could get the signs down perfectly. So when people, it was really important to us that we did come across as, you know, make people wonder whether or not we were hearing or not, because it's mildly controversial to use hearing actors for deaf roles. Just like, you know, for anyone with a disability, you kind of want to let someone who has that disability play the character because there's fewer roles for them. But since they were using actors from our drama school, we kind of got away with it, I suppose, but we wanted to be so spot on with the signs that you wouldn't know whether we were or not. And when people did, like, when they would meet us and be like, oh, I thought you were actually deaf, I was like, that is the best compliment you could have given this film.
That's amazing. You did that much rehearsal. I never knew.
Yeah, we would send videos to Sam I think it was once a week or even like every couple of days of just us practicing, and then he would reply and correct us, and then just work with him, and he was on set with us as well, and you know, if we did a take and he was like, oh, you kind of messed up the sign, then Rob would make sure that we did it again so that his final, you know, the takes that made it into the film were perfect.
I went to sign language club when I was in secondary school.
It's useful.
Yeah, my first week of year 7.
You then.
Yeah, I wasn't part of the group yet, so I wasn't involved.
Haley, I think Jed mentioned that you know, you guys received a lot of compliments as far as mimicking the speech patterns of a deaf person. What was your process like for working on that?
So we did our process for kind of learning how to do the signs and researching and stuff. We watched a lot of films, and there's one film I remember we went to see at BFI, which is called The Tribe, which is an incredible Ukrainian film that's all in sign language, but there's no subtitles. So you had but you understand everything that's happening in that film just because of, so we kind of, you know, through research and watching different films and things, we realized how expressive, you know, like sign language actually is, and how much it does have to, you know, your facial expressions. It's a lot like acting in a way. It's a really easy way to equate it to acting, because your facial expressions and the way, you know, like how you emphasize the hand movements, it indicates tone and indicates the feeling behind certain signs. So, you know, if you're doing things softer, then it means something, than rather if you're doing them really forcefully, doing movements. I don't think that's a sign, so don't use the video of this. But we did that, and then I think too, just watching a ton of like trying to just watch as many people as we could, so we could get their speech patterns, because you are still, some of it is still saying the words along with the signs, so that if someone can read your lips, or if, again, like you just put emphasis on things. And then a lot of it came down to Sam just being an excellent teacher and being very strict with us. So he wasn't afraid to like get in there and correct us. And then I think, you never want to let him down. So we just put in the time.
Yeah. And like just the reaction to Dawn of the Death was amazing, and up until that point we'd never had so much attention. So we thought we had the formula, and I think me and Rob working together, there is something a little bit magical about it, because it seems like so far, fingers crossed, touch wood, everything we do has been very well received. And the next thing we did because of Dawn of the Death was Salt, and we got the money to make Salt because of Dawn of the Death and the reaction that got. So I don't know if you've seen Salt as well.
I have not seen that. I tried finding that.
Yeah, it's on Rob's Vimeo, or it's pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
But yeah, that's only a 2-minute short, and yeah, it's great, and that's what stars Alice Lowe, and off the back of that, we just got a lot of attention from Hollywood. So me and Rob became Hollywood wankers and went to LA and had a bunch of meetings, and just did the Hollywood wanker thing for a little while, speaking to studios.
That term makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Stop it.
Just going around town being dicks, drinking cocktails.
What's the American equivalent of wanker? Because the only word I think of is
Jerk-off.
just... Is what?
Jerk off. Yeah, it's jerk
Jerk
off.
off.
See, that sounds icky.
Icky.
It's like
Hollywood.
like
Tosser.
that's not a that's
Half the British.
that's not what it means in American.
Haley, alternatives? Any?
I think a wanker is kind of like a dickhead, or like a
Yeah, we were being.
You and Robert being dickheads.
like the guy, like just
Pretty
kind of arrogant. It's doing the like, ooh, we're doing the LA thing, like
Yeah,
what
we
would you-
just.
Ari Gold. That is a wanker.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, because of Salt's reaction, we got a lot of interest. So we took those meetings and we did a bunch of deals, and so we set ourselves up with a few films in the pipeline. But films take ages to make, so like you never know when they're actually going to like happen and drop and stuff. So in the meantime, like I directed a film called Multiplex, which is like 20 minutes long, which stars all of the girls from Host, every single one of them, and they're all in it playing characters. If you've seen Dawn of the Death, you probably like Radina and Haley's characters in Multiplex, because they're playing the same characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so is Caroline, actually. She's playing the same character. But we take it. Yeah, did you know that Caroline's playing this?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. Well, she
Yeah.
never talks.
Emma's learning so much.
I am.
Emma's the lead in it. Emma's the
It's a
lead.
very informative podcast.
Yeah, Emma's wonderful in Multiplex.
This is Emma's homework, this podcast.
Yeah. So
That's what
Emma
she
has
does.
a lot to do in Multiplex, because she has to act, sing, and dance, and she's on screen every second of the film as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Gemma actually plays 2 roles in it. Gemma works in the cinema, and she also plays a samurai, basically. So all the girls from Host, and we played it once before lockdown at the Glasgow Film Festival, and then lockdown happened, and all the festivals have been cancelled. So hopefully there'll be more festivals coming up later on this year that we can play it in, and then I'll drop it. But
It
actually,
had such a good response, didn't it?
Which one?
unbelievable response. Like, I honestly, maybe until Host, actually, I've never seen an audience reaction like that before to one of our films, because all of our films are quite tragic and shocking, but Multiplex is just really uplifting and fun. And are you still there?
Who?
Oh yeah, just that buzzing just suddenly disappeared.
I think it's me. I muted myself. And I was not
It's Haley, son of a.
Like maybe I'll try. I think maybe it's my laptop. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's her. Is it her fan?
Yeah, but like it had a really really good reaction, and Emma got to meet the rest of the girls on set as well, which was handy. And then she became part of the overall friendship group because she only knew me at that point, just
And
very
Gemma.
briefly. And Gemma, yeah. So I met Emma at Comic-Con. Like I was hosting a panel for the film The Void. I don't know if you've seen that film The Void, like this John
No,
Carpenter.
I know what it's about. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, practical effects. So it was like a big 1,500 like people like stage thing, and Emma stood up at the end of the Q&A bit. Well, so I was any questions to the director. Emma stood up and was like, "Hi, quick question. How do you pick actors for your films?" And then I was just looking at this girl, and I was just like, she looks cool, and like she's confident, and the main thing is she looks a little bit like my sister. Maybe not now I know her. She looks a lot less like my sister now, but like from a distance.
Younger then.
Yeah, from a distance, I was like, oh, she's like my sister. And in my mind, I wanted to make this thing called Multiplex, which was about me and my sister when we were littler. And then, so when I got the funding to make it, I was like, oh, okay, I need to find someone to play me and find someone to play my sister. So I knew of Emma because she was on my Instagram because we followed each other after Comic-Con. And I just hit her up. I was like, hey, really weird, but like, do you want to like be in this film? It's like, quite a weird movie. There's lots going on. And she was like, cool, yeah. So, and then the guy who played me is the kid from A Monster Calls. The main kid from A Monster Calls.
Brilliant
Louise
film.
Webb,
I love that film.
yeah, which won loads of awards. Liam Neeson plays a tree in it, a tree monster. And yeah, so we got this dream cast of the host girls, Lewis McDougall, and a bunch of other amazing people. And we made this movie, and it's so good because like now there's even more excitement about it because people want to see the host girls being something else, and it's a quick, easy fix, and it's something different as well. So they won't be like typecast to just like found footage horror.
It's such a big contrast to host
Big
Multiplex.
contrast, yeah.
It couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the aim is to make the feature-length version early next year, and
Oh wow.
just waiting for funding to be in place for that, and then I'll make that.
You guys, all your whole group of friends, you're doing what I wanted to do as a teenager, but was unsuccessful at it, which is be a screenwriter, mainly horror. And I had a group of friends, just stuck to the YouTube thing, edited and stuff like that. It was fun as hell. So I totally can understand how you want to keep going with that. And I'm excited as a fan of the films I've seen. The two films I've seen of yours so far, so that'd be really neat. Before we move on, though, I just want to say about Dawn of the Deaf one thing. I like how it was a same-sex couple. I like how it was. I don't know if "like's" the right word. I thought it was interesting how with Carol, I'm gonna fuck up her name, aren't I? Caroline.
Yeah.
Her situation. When I first saw her with her parents, I'm like, that's weird that the dad said that, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Absolutely grim, yeah.
And then the other relationship with the older deaf man, they were neat. They're not quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, traditional, which is what I want because again, that's how we learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good selling point of Dawn of the Deaf is it before you find out, the punchline really doesn't come till the end, and so you're just watching these interesting stories, and they're three very different storylines that are going on, and so you're kind of like, well, how are these people connect? I mean, the through line is obviously the each one of them being deaf, and but it's like you get to see different experiences for deaf community, or just putting them in. I think people get typecast a lot in certain ways, especially if you have a disability, that you don't get to just see. They're just different. They get to play those kind of like, the father, Chris, the actor Chris is a real interpreter. And so he's an actor and he's also a deaf interpreter as well. I mean, and he gets to play this creepy, horrible person.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
which
the nicest guy ever. That Chris is so.
Is he really?
he's
Really,
the most
really
beautiful
nice.
human. He's wonderful.
Great
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah,
He's
really is.
nicer than all of us put together. Honestly, he really is. He
Yeah,
does so
he is.
much for so many people. Like he's great.
Can I take a moment to have a quote from a past podcast of my buddy James Sabata said about you on this specific point?
Aw.
Jed is the coolest motherfucker on the planet. I love that dude. So if that doesn't say enough about who you are,
Oh, thanks.
so you're saying someone's nicer than you?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, but
You
Jed.
guys don't see me like when we're in our quarantine movie club WhatsApp group, and I'm just like making fun of everyone and just being stupid and just like because
that's what friends are for.
Yeah, exactly.
like these girls are like they're famous now, so like you need to keep them grounded. You need to make sure like they're like
I mean, like, not kissing ass, but you guys are literally just, your movie blew up in a time that is, I would say that it's safe to say everyone that's alive right now has never experienced this.
yeah.
And you guys were like, fuck it, we're making a film. And then it blew up.
Yeah.
It was good for us. Like, it was just a great way to pass the time and like chat to your friends and do something fun.
I can't get over it. I love it because I've been a huge horror fan since I've been a kid. Seeing this Zoom, like, it's movies like this it's not the first of its kind, but it's the best of its kind, and that's my opinion. I
agree with that opinion.
Thank
Pat.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching you guys on. It's gonna sound like a stalker, but what's the internet for if not to stalk people you enjoy looking?
You can't get away from us on Twitter, to be fair.
So to also be fair, is you guys are very friendly and you're approachable. Haley made 2 replies on mine. Carolyn did too, and I'm like, that's cool. I liked your movie. And Jed I reached out to Jed because I was like, fuck it, I'll see if he'll be in my show. And then he said, yep. He said I could talk today. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I can do that. I didn't even think he'd reply. So my whole point to all this is I think that helps you guys. I think we're all pretty much the same generation.
Mm-hmm.
So
younger.
My
whole thing is like being a horror fan and being a podcaster myself, even though I haven't really done my own podcast for a while. I was the one that was reaching out to people all the time saying, hey, do you want to be in my podcast? Do you want to be in my podcast? And just like reaching into thin air and hoping they would say yes. So I'm very, very conscious. If someone asked me to be on a podcast, it would mean like a lot to them, the fact that this is a big movie out and we're coming on. So yeah, I'm just like I'm gonna especially if it's a horror podcast, I'm always gonna do it because I want to support the horror community who are supporting us right now. So yeah,
that's the thing, is it's like we wouldn't be doing this without all of you guys and like everybody tweeting at us and everyone watching the film and writing nice reviews. And like, we set up the movie almost to not, we shot it on Zoom with unknown actors. It's not like it was destined to be great from the very beginning. It's just because we've also got all these amazing fans around the world that are excited to watch it and that want to talk to us. So this is equally as cool for us to be able to be on podcasts and be like, I'm like, yeah, you care what I have to say? This is awesome.
And I think that's where the Blair Witch Project reference that I've heard often comes into play. The unknown actor thing, the found footage thing. I told Jed this, but for Emma and Haley, I watched this. I have a wife and a almost 9-month-old, so and I'm not. Oh, thank you. I'm not complaining when I say this, but I'm almost never alone. Which again, I'm not. I'm okay with that. My wife's not big into horror, but I got the house to myself one night. I watched Host on my TV. It was just me and my son because my wife works at night, and in my head I'm like, be brave for your little boy that can't even talk yet. I shut my doors that I'm not going for the rooms I'm not going into. I shut those doors. Yes. And for that, I thank you because that's what I want as a horror fan. Now, yay. Brendan, take it over.
Yeah, no, I see. Now I thought that was like the worst is not the right word, but whenever we're exploring someone's house or apartment, it's like, oh no, we got to open up every door. Like, at least if they're already open, you can kind of get a general viewpoint. But that tension. Now, you guys were kind enough to come on here, so I'm not gonna, you've probably never listened before, and that's obviously fine. But Patrick and I both. I'm sorry, Jed.
I will listen from now on.
Oh, I'm not admonishing you. Patrick and I both kind of have a role. He's kind of the movie guy, and I'm kind of the book guy. And I'm not, as far as horror goes, I'm a very visual person. So where I might be able to plow through a really fucked up book and, sleep at night, with movies, it really just, sticks with me a lot harder. And he said, you have to watch this one.
Wait, for audio listeners. For audio listeners, Haley was just saying me too with her hand signals.
Yeah. We're on the same team, Brennan.
Sorry, Brennan. Go
hand signals this whole time.
We can't see your hand signals. Emma's gonna prank us. At the end, she's gonna prank us somehow. But yeah, no, thank you.
I'm scared to death, having listened to your episode, to you and Haley on the Necronama.com, knowing that, the whole thing stemmed from a prank and that we're doing this thing, not Zoom, but on Skype. I'm scared to death that at some point you guys are going to pull some shit on me and I'm going to fall out of this chair.
I've seen them do that. I've seen the girls do that on a podcast.
Haley is the worst.
You're so cool.
Or shall I say the best?
I'm lucky I can employ my partner to just... I mean, he was pushing things out of the doors and pulling me and doing a lot of stuff for the film. So he's already used to helping me with the gags. That he's happy to step in. But I didn't plan one for you this evening. I could rig it up real quick though.
No,
she's just gonna go to the toilet quickly.
Be right back.
She'll be right back. Yeah. And Brennan, you think it stuck with you? Like, I can't sleep in my own bedroom now since filming the film.
Genuinely, Emma texts me at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
No joke.
Because she knows I'll be awake, because I'm always awake. And then she's like, "Yeah, I can't sleep in my own room. I'm sleeping with the light on again. There's something in my doorway." And it's like every day, there's something in my doorway, Jed. I saw something. I'm just like, Emma, I can't help you. You're really far away. And if you're gonna die, you're gonna die. You can't.
Oh, God. It's that door frame where no spoilers, but stuff happens in that door frame, and I can't see it the same.
Yeah. But what? It's good that you pointed out the door frame thing, because how the construction of the shot in Host for all of their rooms is mostly with a empty door behind them. And the reason for that is because if you can see the horror, if you can see the thing that's coming for you, then you can possibly figure out a way to kill it and to fight it or to run from it. But if you can't see the thing, then that's more scary, because there's nothing more scary than the unknown and the void. And that's what we try to do with Host. We try to make you scared of things that aren't there, which is like a magic trick, but I think it works because people are looking in the background and looking everywhere. They're looking in every little door frame shot. Just people are looking for stuff, and there is stuff there if you look hard enough. But yeah, the unknown is more scary than the known. That's what we try to do.
Brennan, should we say now might be a spoiler time?
Yeah, no, I would say for the whole episode. I mean, my general feeling is that somebody, first of all, anybody tuning in here has probably seen the movie, and if they haven't, why the hell are you listening to this? Go watch the movie. And like beyond that, even if they haven't seen it and are prioritizing this, why would you listen to a 90-minute to 2-hour podcast about a movie that you haven't seen? I mean, even if it's not spoiler heavy, it's definitely it's not going into it.
Yeah.
What's that?
On the thumbnail, put a picture of Haley and Emma, and then people will click on it. It's classic advertising.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Patrick, you on that?
Dawn of the Dead or something.
Sure. Haley, real quick, random question. Why did you move to England?
Sure. I'm originally from Arizona, and I lived in LA for a few years after college, and I wanted to get my master's. So as Jed was saying, the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama here in London has an amazing 1-year acting for screen program for your master's. And my best friend had done it a couple years prior, and she ranted and raved about it. And so I was like, you know what, I think I need a little bit extra training. England is also home of the best actors in the world, personally. I think, it's like the is why Shakespeare is from here. And so I moved out to get my master's and did the year course here. And then actually a lot of it is why I stayed is because of the success of Dawn of the Deaf, because I did that film right before the course.
Wow.
It really was a big influence, because meeting Rob and meeting Jed and having the film go to Sundance and just getting the success it got, I thought, oh, you know what, I'm better off being an American actor in England than I was being just another actor in LA, because, if you've ever been to LA, everyone's an actor there. Like
every waitress, right?
Every waitress, every Uber driver, everyone. You can't pick a stone without hitting an actor. And while that's wonderful and LA has a lot of opportunities, it also means it's like you need to have a USP to really make, or know somebody, or it's just a little bit harder there to get started. Whereas having drama school, I'd say like England respects having done the training and the homework. Respects the drama students to and gives more opportunities for that when you kind of put the work in, rather than you're just really pretty in LA and you get cast in something.
Everyone's pretty in LA. That's the thing. Like,
yeah,
it's normal.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough that I was able to get a visa to work here, and just have every year have kind of gotten a little bit more success. I booked a little commercial, and I booked a little film, one line in a TV series, and then next year was a bigger commercial and a bigger TV series, and then I've done a couple feature films now with just smaller parts, and then now I've done host. I'm like, okay, great, like never leave it.
Where's my trailer?
Yeah.
No auditions anymore.
Oh god, if we ever make a host too, these girls are going to be right deep.
Yeah, and London's just really cool. To be fair, if you guys haven't, I don't know if you guys have been out here before, but
I haven't been to Europe. I want to go. My name is Patrick McDonough, so like I'm very much so Irish. So I'd like to go there. London. I'd like to go to. My wife and I want to travel a lot, and London is definitely one of the places.
Yeah.
That we would like to go to.
Hope you make it.
You can. It's baby friendly out here. You just strap them on your back and go.
So speaking of, host and the success that's growing, where was it? The Prince Charles Cinema that's playing the first week they reopened. So talk about how that makes all three of you feel.
It's great, mostly because like the Prince Charles Cinema is genuinely the best cinema in the world. Like when I'm in LA, like the New Beverly for me is up there, just because I love the fact they show classic movies, midnight movies. The equivalent in London is the Prince Charles Cinema, which is where Evil Dead first showed in the UK and stuff like that. And they've always been so supportive of us. Like when we've played the London Film Festival with all of our shorts, it's always somehow ended up at the Prince Charles Cinema. Like, and I did a short film last year called, actually no, it was this year, called Double Tap. Well, I produced it, and we showed that at the Prince Charles as well. And I've done other events there, and it's just so cool. And we didn't think host would ever be seen in the cinema, because we thought this was a product of lockdown. But now we're going to put it in as many cinemas as possible. That's my aim. Shudder have given me the green lights to do what I want.
Wow.
So I am, and I'm going to put it in every cinema you can imagine. That's my aim.
That's awesome. What about you, Haley and Emma? How does it make you two feel?
I'm so excited. We had the screening of Multiplex in Scotland, but this is like a much bigger cinema, isn't it? And like in London, and if it goes to more cinemas, it's even better. Like, it's just so exciting.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
Same. It's like, the fact that we get to see ourselves on a big screen is like, that's every actor's dream right there.
That's it. Yeah.
It's the best thing you want to do, and then to see yourself where you're like, oh, you don't blink, you're gonna miss me. It's like we actually, we have large roles in this film, and then the Prince Charles is right in the center of Leicester Square in London, and like the heart of Soho. So it's, it's an iconic theater that you could go in. So really, couldn't ask for a better place to have the premiere. Really,
Isn't it Leicester Square?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leicester Square.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. yeah, it's brilliant. And then it's just like it's also a theater. It's one of like the the few independent cinemas that still exist in the world, which is so
And they
special.
asked us,
Right.
yeah, and they asked us to help them reopen because they saw how the popularity of hosts, and obviously they've been shut for a long time, so they need bums on seats.
Yeah.
So they asked us like, can we show hosts for like a few days? Hopefully it'll expand to a week or more. And they said, and we said yes, of course, like no worries. And Shudder have been so good about basically everything. They're so good, like they're so nice. They're such nice people. It's crazy.
That'd be amazing if you guys came in theaters, especially in America. The last film I saw, I got this to I don't know if Regal Cinema's out there. I don't know if that's just a US thing.
Yeah, I
one?
think
It's just a Regal. It's just a chain of movie theaters. Well,
Yeah.
my wife got me. I love going to the movies, and she got me this 1 year pass for Regal as many as I want. And Parasite came out for my local theater for a few days. That's the last movie I saw, and
Yeah.
I know that came out in 2019, but I know a year ago. It was like
It was
February.
only
So
released here in February. It was only released here in February. So
okay,
it's the last film that a lot of people saw here.
so really the only new film I've seen in the horror genre has been Host, and I gotta say, like, I'm not comparing those two, but I'm just trying to make a point. Like, that's the last time I saw a movie in theaters. I would love to see this. I think it'd be really neat. And
The funny thing is that it's an interesting comparison with Parasite and Host because we were just on the Letterboxd podcast, me and Rob, and they said to us like we're the most popular film on Letterboxd, and we replaced Parasite, which was like top for a long time, and like we've replaced Parasite. Parasite's one of the best movies ever made.
oh hell yeah, I'm right there with you. And the thing that always gets me is people. Some guy at work like was talking about how he doesn't like reading at movies, and I go, "You're missing out on such a great market.
God,
Asian, Italian films, French, you name it. There's so many other good films."
Emma loves Parasite as well because she can speak Korean.
Yep.
Love Korea.
Yeah. There's a world cinema, like I feel like in lockdown I've really started, because we started to run out of movies that we haven't seen or that we are interested in seeing. And my partner's a cinematographer, so he was like, you got to watch this, giving me a bit more of an education. And you just think like we get, I'm American, we get so wrapped up in just American films, and you forget there's this beautiful world of cinema out there that there's so much, like on the one hand, there's so much more creative with storytelling or cinematography or with everything because there's a different culture driving it. Like there's an amazing film, if you guys haven't heard of it, called The Guilty, which is I think it's Norwegian. It's like Scandi, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is one guy on the phone, and it takes place in like 2 rooms in a police precinct, doing like essentially what is a 911 call, and it's only on him. There is no like it's just voiceovers in the other line and like a couple other people in the film with him, and it's an hour and a half, and it's brilliant.
Really?
That's better than most U.S. films I've seen lately. The Guilty, and so you just like the Parasite, The Guilty. We've watched Pedro Almodovar's The Skin I Live In. Like there's just so many cool films out there that we just forget about because they're not in English.
Well, for a Mexican filmmaker, I'll fuck up his name, Guillermo del Toro, he's my favorite. He's so, him and Bong Joon-ho. Ugh.
Emma, what is it?
Bong Joon. Oh my
Bong.
He did Okja. He did Parasite. He did The Host.
He did The Host. Yeah.
The bastard.
Just forget that one.
This is the thing with the name. Like, it's always me who picks the name as well, and I get really fixated on it. Like I'm like, this is the name. We're not changing it. And I think I'm quite good at coming up with like one-word names, and I think originally the very first thing we thought of was just to call it Seance, just because we wanted to come up with the most generic, simple thing ever. So anytime anyone thinks of a Seance, they'll think of the film. That's my theory on things like that. Like with Salt, I was just like, it has to be called Salt because they were like, but there's an Angelina Jolie film called Salt. Like, it has to be called Salt because we want people to see Salt and then think of the film. So with Host, it's got multiple meanings. So obviously she's the host of the meeting.
Yep.
A host is also like a possession thing where you're the host of an evil entity, and there's multiple other things you can bring into it. There's like the host of Christ, which is like the body of Christ, which this has like almost some religious undertones as well. There's
I
lots-
thought it
lots of
was a nod to the film Ghost that we watched like a week before you wrote it.
There's that as well, yeah.
Patrick
it's just-
Swayze.
Oh
The
yeah.
thing is, yeah,
I genuinely,
Wait,
like,
love
what?
that. Love
What's
that.
that? What?
Yeah, so we
I love
watched.
that. I love
We had
Ghost.
this like quarantine movie club where we'd watch Netflix parties of like classics,
Mhm.
and we watched Ghost, and we all cried. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, I'm crying!" And like a week later, they were like, "Yeah, we're making this film called Host." I was like, "Wow, that's because of Ghost, isn't it?" And everyone was
Pretty
like, "No."
much. But no, but that's just a nice coincidence. But the yeah, so there was a little bit of push and pull between the producer having to make sure we get the name host. We're allowed to use the name host, but I was like, if we don't use the name host, throw the film in the bin, because like I'm so set on it being called Host. I'm very much like that. Just throw it in the bin. I don't want anything to do with it. Like unless it's like
take
this.
my name off it.
Like I'm really like bad with things like that. So yeah,
I hear, man. I'm a writer, and I get it. I'm like that with titles or characters. And I heard that the creators of Back to the Future were like that about the DeLorean. The writers were about that with the DeLorean. They
Right.
wanted.
use it.
I think the producers wanted like a newer, nicer looking car, and they're like, nope, DeLorean. And now look at it,
Yeah, exactly. So intrinsically linked with that film.
Yeah.
It's like filmmakers know it's like they get a gut feeling about something, and it's usually right.
Yeah, and it's just lucky. Like there were times that people would probably question like decisions that me and Rob make, but those people like few and far between. I think people just trust us now. Like if we're so intent on doing something, if we say honestly this will be cool, like now we can kind of get it done. And like in the last few days, we've just said okay, just to certain companies, trust us. Like just trust us. See what we did with Host, and it's just everything's a lot easier now. I think.
Well, you hooked up with one of the biggest. I think it's arguably the biggest horror distributor. They got their own network that is very successful. In my and Brennan's world, which is it's the horror community, but mainly in the book world, we also explore in the movie world. That's really as far as we go, and then like comic book writers, graphic designer, graphic novelists. But it's mainly in the book industry, and
I'm reading Survivor Song at the moment, by the way.
I was about to bring up there are three
Yeah.
people that I saw talk about Host. That is all three authors, Christopher Golden, Paul Tremblay, and Joe Hill. They all raved about it, which is why I watched it.
It's crazy, and like I'm a big fan of Paul Tremblay, and I saw that he'd watched Host, and I was like, Paul, like your book, Head Full of Ghosts, scared the living shit out of me. I said it on the Necronomicon podcast, and after he listened to that, like he was like, "Do you want to Zoom?" So like me and Paul Tremblay, we zoomed. It was so cool, and he was just asking me all these questions about Host, and I was asking him all these questions about A Head Full of Ghosts, and I was like, Paul, like. If that movie deal falls apart for Head Full of Ghosts, give it to me, man. Like I've got ideas. I was saying that. I was like, honestly, just trust me. Just let me and Rob have it. We'll like, but no.
Robert Downey Jr.'s got Iron Man. You guys got a Head Full of Ghosts.
Hey, you're a proven commodity, man.
It's true. I would love to do a Head Full of Ghosts. It's Haley. If you read this book, it is, and Emma, it's the scariest book like I've ever read, or one of them. Just so to speak to the guy and for him to be so like nice and down to earth is crazy.
He's from me and Brennan are both from Massachusetts. He's from the town that one of my closest friend lives in, and one of his books takes place in this park where I went all the time. This is before it's a park in town
Disappearance. Called... Oh, the park or the book?
Oh yeah, wait, I mixed
Disappearance at Devil's Rock.
Yep.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I've got all of his books.
His face is gonna slam into the camera now. No, seriously. So yesterday we were recording an episode, and the guest was going in and out of her background, and that's what we said because it creeped us out, me and Brennan.
Yeah. That goes back to my earlier point. I said this thing really, got into my psyche. So I'm, watching this person talking about editing and, finding repeated words that people overuse, something not scary at all, completely unrelated. I'm like,
Oh,
oh
she's
my.
Welsh. You have to throw in she's also of their, the similar dialect, because she sounds English, not Welsh.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, she's gonna be talking, and all of a sudden she's gonna disappear, and she's gonna come back just way too fast.
Slam, 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 slam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we've scarred you now from any sort of Skype calls.
Who thought of that effect? Because that
Me.
was awesome. That was great.
I think so. Right at the start, me and Rob just thought of the best ways to kill our friends, essentially. And for that one, I was like, wouldn't it? Because it just starts how it always starts. Me and Rob are just like, what's the coolest thing we could do in a horror movie? Like, and it's almost like we work backwards. We do the kills first, and then we work out how they all tie into each other. So yeah, for that one, we were just like, okay, our friend Eros, who's also an actor and director, he's the first person I saw at the start of lockdown doing the Zoom backgrounds where he filmed himself and then it repeats in the background while he's in front of it, etc. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. We could do something on that. And then we just thought, because Caroline's so sweet, like it would be the worst thing in the world if we gave that to Caroline to smash her face on the keyboard. But also before that, we make you go closer and closer into the screen because we put those gobbledygook messages that come up, go bloop, bloop, bloop. So you're trying to see, what did they say? What did they say? And then she comes flying up.
I stood up off my couch to look at that, you son of a bitch.
That's the thing, like I'm really interested in like the anatomy of a scare, and I break them down like every film I watch. Like, okay, why is that so good? Why is that scare so good? And it's usually the case where you have to do the correct foreshadowing and you have to earn the scare, and you do that by making people care about the characters. And I think in the first act of this, when they're all just like before the seance, you get to know these characters so well, and you get to see as if you're one of their friends and just watching their call and getting to know them. And I think that's just down to the greatness of the actors, and yeah, we're just so lucky that we had a good bunch of friends really who could act.
It's like a perfect storm. It really is. I used to work, before they completely went under, I used to work at a video chain. And, when you work at a video chain, you get all the free rentals you'd like. So, between 2006 and 2010-ish, I saw every B straight-to-video horror movie that in existence. And there are some god-awful ones, you guys, I'm sure know. But what just the amount of detail that went into Host is one of the key elements that just made it work. Like you said, it's not just, oh man, we're gonna take this girl's face and slam it into, but the planning of the background, the messages to draw the viewer in. It's not as simple as we're really gonna fuck this girl's day up. It's we've got yes. Yep.
Because you see her put that mask on, that T-zone mask, and take it off, and it's foreshadowing the fact that her face is going to look like that, like when she dies.
I had a comment which I was watching it again today or yesterday, which is really sad. I've watched it like 10 times.
That's great.
But you know how at the end where the pictures come up and they disappear.
Type thing, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of thought there's almost a clue in our pictures how we die, because I've got wings and I kind of fly out the window. Radina's laying on the ground, and obviously she's on the ground, dragged back. And Caroline, her face is like she's pulling a sort of face, and like
really,
yeah. I noticed
that. Yeah, that was totally intentional.
Am I reading too much into it or what?
But obviously there's so many theories going around about everything, like who's to blame. Is it Gemma? Is it Haley? Is it Salen? And like to be quite honest, like we purposely left a few things ambiguous. Some of it was intentional, some of it was because we just didn't have enough time really, because we did this so fast. So a lot of the subtext that's being brought into it from the fans is great, because it makes sense, but a lot of the things we didn't think of ourselves, to be completely honest. Obviously we did put some Easter eggs in there, and we put in a lot of things for you to like notice, but like some of the theories are almost better than the real thing. Like, I love it.
But it almost takes on the vibe of an urban legend in that, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
I
that. That's
Yeah,
great.
but that's the thing. Like, so we're being compared a lot to like the Blair Witch, and obviously like Dread Central said, the scariest movie of the decade, as important as the Blair Witch. That's crazy, because Blair Witch is impossible to beat. That's the standard for me. That's right at the top. So to even be in the same sentence as someone who as the saying the Blair Witch is incredible. And we took a lot of the beats from Blair Witch. We took a lot of the fact that they used their real names, the way we even wrote it, how we basically wrote a 17-page beat sheet, how we drip fed the actors only what they needed to know, how Rob used scares before like the start of their day in order to get them in the mood. Just stuff like that, and stuff that we learned from watching every single documentary about every found footage movie, watching every found footage movie ever, seeing the mistakes, and there were a lot of them. There are only about 5 good, well done found footage movies. So yeah, we just try to learn from the best. Which one of them is Lake Mungo as well. I don't know if you guys saw Lake Mungo, really underrated movie about these parents that lose their child young, and it's a documentary about grief, but suddenly you start to see the image of the dead girl in like these old pictures coming closer and closer and closer, and then you see videos that you've already watched, and you see that she's in the corner of the video, and it's just so terrifying, spooky. But then by the end, it does something crazy where it turns your fear upside down and makes you really feel sorry for the girl who died, like in a way which maybe The Ring doesn't. But yeah, so we try to use some of those elements. Like for instance, when Caroline dies, you see her video loop again. So that video is almost like her ghost, almost, and it's so tragic that she's dead, but her friend has to still watch her go through her motions, and it's kind of tragic, but kind of cool. Wow.
That was really haunting. And for
Yeah.
me, I can't speak for Brennan, but for me, as you all three know, I think I said I don't really know how to use Zoom, so I didn't put together the whole 40-minute thing until after I heard an interview with you and Haley.
Okay.
I didn't understand the background thing, but it still worked for me.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it, and to see your friend, like you said, over and over again, and you know she's dead. That's insane.
So, but one of the great things about the acting of these girls is they genuinely didn't know how their friends were going to die, because we filmed all the deaths first. They weren't allowed to talk to each other about how they died. The scripts were redacted, so they never saw it. So when you see the reactions for some of those deaths, it's the real reactions, and I think that's like best demonstrated when Emma is watching Teddy die, because in Emma's head, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, like, this is a Zoom movie. This is a movie shot on Zoom with friends. You would never expect Ginny and Teddy's deaths to happen in this film, because you think it's a Zoom movie, and that's why I like people going in thinking it's unfriended and showing it's something different. So Emma had to sit there and watch 2 people that she's friends with die, and almost for real, because there's no explanation of how we could have done those stunts, really. So it's crazy. So how did you guys feel about how we went about doing that?
Yeah, it was really helpful, because obviously we had the surprise. Obviously, you're only going to be surprised like the first take, and then you have to keep doing it. But that's any movie. But like, it was really helpful, because normally you don't get to see what you're reacting to on a movie set. I mean, you do if it's a play, obviously, but we got to see like the edited product on the screen in front of us to react to. So, and it obviously, because we didn't know what that was going to be, it made it more surprising. So yeah, it was very unique, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
I keep saying fun, but it seems a bit twisted. But like it was fun.
Yeah. I would think too. It was just like it felt like we were almost doing more of a play. I was Caroline and I were talking about this earlier, and she brought up how it felt like the way we shot it felt like we were doing a play but it was film medium where we got to kind of run long scenes. We got to see the full action of something. Like as Emma was saying, you'd normally, that would have been put in post, or it would have been someone on a green screen, or you would have seen all the wires and cabling and stuff that went involved with the stunts. But because we shot all of that stuff first, so our amazing VFX supervisor Steve Gray was able to then quickly kind of do a quick paint job and get everything out of there, so that like for us as actors it's so dreamy to have something to actually react to, and then it makes our job that a little bit easier, that when you do see Caroline's face come through the screen, you have to do that take 10 different times. It's not like I'm having to imagine what she might look like and how terrible that'll be and how sad it is. It's like every time it comes through, my heart is breaking because she's so tragic.
Yeah.
That it was. I think that was one of the more clever things that you Jed and Rob did during the filming process to kind of enhance the whole experience. And then I think that's why some of it comes out so well, is because it was, the attention to detail was there from the very beginning.
How'd you pull off Teddy's, how did that happen? Because I know that he gets lit on fire, and that's a real fire. How did you guys pull that off?
Human sacrifice.
Yeah, we had to.
I was asking him yesterday.
He
said
he's a stunt performer. So Teddy and Ginny are both stunt performers. As well as actors, and so they are trained to do everything crazy like that. And Teddy is trained to be able to have himself lit on fire. It's a protective gel that you would put on yourself. So it's not like we're lighting his actual skin on fire, but it is still extremely dangerous because obviously it's a live flame. The gel can't. It's not like it protects ever.
I asked him about this yesterday, and he said if there's any bubbles, you have to like prick it with a pin.
Oh wow! What, in the gel?
Yeah, otherwise it will like pop and like burn your skin underneath.
Oh wow! Yeah, of course.
So.
And also, we wanted that fire to creep up him as well. We wanted just to be like even more spookier. But yeah, and like we just got lucky that because all of us are friends, but the only person we didn't know Ginny and Teddy, because we had those stunts in mind before they came on, and we just needed to find people who do it. And I wanted to set one of the girls on fire, and for one of the girls to have I did.
Hey, what?
Yeah,
that's a great sound clip.
I did. I was, and like they were saying, oh no, it has to be someone. I was like, no, it's better if we set one of the girls on fire, and it's better if they go up and into the sky and break their neck and stuff. And then our producer Dougie, because like all I'm thinking is what's best for the film. And I know these ladies would have been up for it if we asked them, I'm sure, if we train them, health and safety, etc., etc.
I'm just thinking that it's like if someone listens to the show at that point, what the hell are they?
Fine. I'm fine to. No, I wanted to set them on fire. And
it's
like,
double down.
It's strange. It's just because that's what's best for the movie. But then we because we couldn't even imagine that we'd find a stunt performer who could act as well as Teddy does.
Right.
So we needed a guy just to have that. We just needed someone to be a bit of a dick, basically, to join the group, and to also have a little bit of a story for Caroline to bounce off the fact it's her ex-boyfriend. These ladies know him from other things. Emma worked with him somewhere, and just to have someone who can act that good, who can perform the stunts as well, is just so lucky. In fact, this entire production, we just lucked out with all the people we got. It's unbelievable. Like, it's crazy how we done.
I would say because he jumped in our dynamic as friends, and like Caroline, Regina, Emma, and Gemma and I have all known each other for years, and we have a tight knit friendship. And Teddy had to just be thrown into that, and it's like one of those like you could sink or swim there. And I think within the first 3 seconds of him jumping on the Zoom call to say hi to us, we were all in love with him and just being like, I feel like I've known him for years. He's such a cool dude.
He's great.
He was fun, and I like how there was a guy in it, because it's usually like a bunch of guys, and and one girl, so that was cool. I like the puppet scene because I was like, holy shit, is a ghost fucking with them with a puppet?
So we put a few red herrings in there just because horror fans think they know everything, which and sometimes they do. So because we were foreshadowing a lot, we thought, okay, we've got to put a puppet in just so people think Teddy's going to be killed by a puppet later. And also, we asked what they had around their house, and Teddy in his house, and that's his real house or family's house. He had a puppet, so we were like, we got to throw that in, and it just comes back genius later on. But also, it kind of alludes to the fact that someone there is a puppet master who is controlling this whole situation, but you don't know who it is. Is it Haley? Is it Gemma? Is it Salen? Yeah.
And the other effect that I don't know how the fuck you pulled this off, the pool scene. How'd you do that?
So before we ever even thought about Host, there were two things I wanted to do in a film. One of them was a full body burn, and me and Rob were going to set ourselves on fire actually and film it and put it online just to do a viral video.
You love fire.
He's not kidding. That was his choice.
Yeah. Just because it's fire and human skin is not meant to be together. So like we thought it would kind of like be cool. So that was one thing we wanted to do no matter what. And then the second thing is every project me and Rob do, I pitch him a levitation thing. I'm like, any film we do, I was like, there needs to be a levitation here. And he's like, what? Why? And I just think it's cool because film and cinema is all about illusion and magic and things that you can't do in real life. So to have something that would kind of push people's expectations of what a found footage movie is, and what you can do on Zoom as well, because people go into this thinking it's unfriended and they come out with a completely different mindset, and there's no way anyone would think we would be able to levitate someone that high off the ground in one shot as well into the middle of the pool, net breaks, fall down. And the way we did it is we have a great stunt team called Lucky 13 who managed to rig it so it's safe. We used Ginny is a stunt person anyway, luckily, and a great actress. So she could do all those stunts, and then we have a great VFX people who manage to kind of like make it look real, and it looks crazy real.
Stunt people and the VFX people are fantastic on this.
Yeah. Emma, your death was just
well. Oh yeah, Emma's death. Yeah.
Emma's death was. I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. She flew really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hence the wings.
Emma has she has a whole sequence. Emma, how was it filming that whole thing of your demise?
Yeah, very fun. I mean, everybody keeps asking me how did you fall through the bench? Obviously, it wasn't me. Now we know. I kind of wish it was though. It seems kind of fun. But yeah, no, really fun and really unique. It being my house, because I think I had 4 or 5 different houses that were my house in the film. So it was a lot of different people doing some of those bits for me. The flower was Rob, and obviously the bench was Ginny, right?
No, that's
Anna. That was
Anna.
Anna, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to her about this yesterday. I knew that. I'm tired. Sorry.
Some people, yeah.
But yeah,
and we have Anna's when Emma gets lifted up into the air on her stairs. That's Anna and gets dropped. And then Emma goes into her room, and then she throws the blanket over the ghost and stuff.
Wasn't that your dad underneath that?
Sorry?
Wasn't your dad the
Oh, yeah.
You had to throw the blanket on for the ghost?
Yeah. So my stepdad was standing in at the beginning, and Rob would be come forward, come towards Emma, and he'd be now, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So we used a mannequin, which I just handily had around the house. That's a mouthful. Yeah, so I had to maneuver it in and out of my bedroom door between every single take, and I literally did it probably 150 times before we got the one. So yeah, that was a workout. That was my quarantine
That creeps
workout.
me out. That was so.
Dude, it's in my kitchen, man.
I think that's such. Oh, sorry, Emma. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say every time I go downstairs to get a drink in the middle of the night, it's beside my fridge.
Oh.
Oh no.
And if I accidentally knock it, I feel like I have to apologize to it because I'm so scared it's gonna kill me or something.
I think that the throwing the blanket scene is again such a testament to the acting and just basically the amount of thought and craft that went into every scene. Because when Emma's gonna throw the blanket, I know that it's gonna land on a humanoid shape.
Yep.
And it still scared the absolute hell out of me. The same thing with like the last 5 seconds of the movie. I know that eventually that flash is going to go off and it's going to show me something nightmare inducing, but it didn't matter. It still scared the hell out of me. It
We even
still
put a
got me.
countdown. There's even a countdown in the corner of the screen saying
I
when
didn't
it's going to
notice
happen.
that on the first try.
Same here.
I thought, I'm like, okay, I bet it's 3. He's gonna go, no, it's not 3. Okay, maybe no. Oh shit, 5.
Yeah.
The mask scene, the floated mask, for me, why it works so well is because it's just like it's a longer shot than I expected, and that does wonders because you're going. It's not a filter, and if I saw this in real life, my brain is having chills run through it. I'm trying to understand what's happening, and I don't. And I want to run.
Yes, bit. I think that that's the one thing. If that happened in your house, that's the scariest thing. And we because I'm always having to go at Emma for like always using filters for things because like she's like Emma's like an amazing singer, right? But when she posts videos of her singing on her Instagram, she always puts a silly filter on her face. I'm just like, Emma, like people want to see you sing, like they don't want to see this filter. And like it was kind of like a running joke between me and it still is really. I'm always going, Emma, why are you using this filter? But now she's like really known for it. So we kind of wanted the filter to be the thing that kills her.
It's part of my identity.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And that you've probably seen that filter is from Alice Sweet Alice, the 70s slasher film. We use the slasher's face basically.
Is that from the 70s? That movie? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's Brooke Shields' first movie when she was like 13, 12 or 13. But yeah, and I mean, again, like it's me and Rob. We just talk about horror films all the time, so we already had all of these set pieces in place. We had all the deaths of the scares. It's almost like it's very easy. We just had to put into a coherent story, and we had that with the seance. And as soon as we knew it was going to be a Zoom seance, everything else kind of like fit into place. But obviously we didn't know it would become the film it is, and now everyone feels like it's obvious. Oh yeah, of course there's a horror movie filmed on Zoom. Of course it is, yeah, and of course it's good because everyone uses Zoom. But like when we announced it only about 3 weeks ago, everyone was like, "Why would I watch a movie in Zoom? This is the worst idea ever. This is stupid." And like the comments on like Bloody Disgusting and Dread Central underneath the announcement was just like, "This is gonna fail. This is gonna fail. Rob Savage is gonna fail," and stuff like that. And we're 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. The #1 film on Letterboxd. That is crazy, and it's just justification that everything we thought was kind of right.
That is amazing, and fuck all those people that thought they knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, good for you for not going straight to Twitter and writing "suck it."
Seriously,
never let them see they get you. Never let them see they get you.
You see that happen all the time. People react to what they think something's gonna be, not what they saw, not the product. They react to what they perceive it to maybe be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. So within the horror book community, we love it when, I mean, I can attest to being in a horror book where I thought it was great, and my character doesn't die, but Brennan's in it too. And from this Australian, British Australian author named Alan Baxter. Not sure if you're familiar with that name, but he wrote a book this year called The Roo, and it's a killer kangaroo. It goes insanely berserk. It's like fun B-movie, like gory fun.
That sounds great.
He wrote about me and a bunch of other reviewers, and like I said, Brennan and other authors, and we just love it. So like, I was only teasing when I was like, "Yo, you love fire," because we do that shit too. I wrote about one of my friend, her head was cut off and her body was left in a tree or something. She goes, "That's awesome!" Like we encourage it because it's a healthy outlet. And I'm curious if you guys have received any negative feedback in the sense where someone might have that old bullshit mentality that it's gonna, rot someone's brain or something crazy.
I don't pay attention. I mean, we've got nearly unanimously positive stuff. Obviously, you're going to get a few people who haven't seen the movie who's like, "Why is this got 100%?" Blah blah blah. Just watch it, mate. Just watch it and have a look. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. Maybe you'll like the next one. But and you always get trolls. Like today, there was this troll, and it was actually making me laugh quite a lot because he's got 0 followers and he's following 0 people. So it was created just a troll host, right? So it was one of probably someone we know, and they were trolling Rob first, and Rob wouldn't ever react to that, so Rob blocked straight away, and then they came on to me and was like, "Oh, your friend Rob Savage, like he can't take criticism. I was saying how bad host was, and he blocks me." And I was like, "What do you expect, man?" I didn't answer, but then he just blocked them as well. But I think they did 47 separate tweets about how bad host was.
Wow, that's parallel to something that we're experiencing on the book end of things. There was someone that posted. I can't tell who's full of shit and who's trying to get a reaction anymore. I can't tell who really thinks and is sincere with certain comments, especially when in America we got a clown for a leader. It's hard to tell what's real. But this one person wrote, "I don't write 2 or 3 star reviews. I think you should reach out, track down that author, and message them and tell them why you didn't like their book." Like, no, that's a bad idea.
Agreed.
No one wants to hear your opinion on that. Like, they wrote it, they liked the book.
Yeah.
What you guys did was, as a group of friends, make something you guys like. That's who it matters to the most, and that's how it should be. And then it goes to us. And if we like it, great. If we don't, shut the fuck up.
Good point.
Go make your own
Very
movie.
good point.
Yeah.
And
Emma,
it's
sorry,
just
go
really
ahead.
lucky. No, we're just really lucky that the thing we made is something that other people like too, because it could have really been a lot different. Yeah.
I think love is the more accurate word with this one. I love the film. A lot of people love the film because it's great, and there hasn't been a whole lot of horror that I've experienced this year that has pulled me in. Like I said, Parasite was the last new horror film that I saw that I really liked. Emma, I'm curious about one thing. I haven't seen this episode, but I did see that you were in The Crown. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
She's great in it.
Yeah, I mean that was nearly 3 years ago now, which is crazy. But yeah, so that was fun. I got to
what was
dress
that
up,
like?
1950s. I was on an old bus, which was very loud, and I was kind of having to like shout on the bus. And the director was like, "Louder, please." She was really lovely, and yeah, so I was almost having to shout my lines on this old Routemaster bus, like set in the 1950s, and like it's obviously a massive budget TV show, so every single detail was done to the T. Like they had newspapers, fake newspapers, a whole stand of these fake newspapers, like a whole city of like extras, and the bus, everything was accurate to the time and for this tiny little scene that I was in. But it was brilliant. It's such a fantastic job, and I just feel really lucky that I got to do that.
That's really cool. And then Haley, you were also in a big one. The one that I saw is Angel Has Fallen. Like, what was that? What was that like?
Similar, I think, to Emma's. Like, that was at the time was the biggest film set I had been on, and I got to play. I was a White House aide, and so I was with like, Gerard Butler is there, and Morgan Freeman is there, and like these actors. Like, I remember, they recreated the Oval Office to like perfectly. Or what I imagine, because I will probably never be in the real Oval Office. Let's be real.
That's okay.
Dare to dream. And
better dreams.
It's like bizarre walking into this as American, being in an English set, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so cool. Every little element of it is done perfectly. So the art department, and then of course just being with these outrageous movie stars. Like I remember I was. I wasn't in a scene in the end because they didn't need me, but they let me, they were like, "Oh, can you come be in an extra scene?" And I knew they were like, "It's for, scene 5 or whatnot." And I knew Morgan Freeman was in that scene, and I just was like, "Oh my God, be cool, it's cool." And he came in, and he's getting on right now, and he has no reason to speak to me. And I was just, it's like one of those weird, you're like, don't make eye contact because you don't want him to know that you think he's the coolest, but also like, just this is a professional set. Like, you can't fangirl out. And I just remember
That's brilliant.
like looking at him out of the corner of my eye and trying to like really hoping and praying he'd come over and say hello to me. And
Did he say hello?
he didn't, but he's also like, he's getting into character. He's like, he is acting.
Yeah.
Working. He's not just
So
there.
you're the total opposite of me. If I see a movie star, I'm there in their face asking them how they are. How do you have any advice for me? Like, I met Anthony Hopkins. Made him take a picture of me.
I feel when they're like in their 80s, you kind of feel like you should do that. Like Gerard Butler was really kind, and he's lovely, and got to chat with him a bunch. And just being on the sets like that is so fun. It's what you know, as a little kid when you want to play pretend, and then you go to drama school and you think, oh, one day I'm going to be an actor, and then you get, cast and get to, put on these things where, it is playing pretend. Like, as a small child, it's the best job ever.
For sure. I got one random ridiculous question. I hope I'm the only one that has ever asked you this, Haley. But can you imagine if at one point after you walk away from that set, you just hear narration by Morgan Freeman, no matter what you do? And you're like, oh, I want to talk to him. And then Haley talks to Morgan Freeman.
That's a great concept for a movie.
Jed, write it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I did get to talk to his assistant for a while. He's a lovely man, and as they were waiting for him to finish, and I was like, well, is Morgan gonna come out anytime soon? Does he want to hang out? Does he want to we go get lunch together? Does he eat crafty? I don't know. What's he gonna do? And actually, I want to say this is also, I've recently started watching The Wire. Probably the biggest regret of my entire life right now is Lance Reddick is also in Angels Fallen, who is Lieutenant Daniels from The Wire. If you guys watch The Wire at all, I've seen it. And I hadn't seen The Wire before this, and I've watched it in lockdown, and I remember Lance walked past me as, we're in between trailers, and said hello, and I knew, like, okay, you're in the film, I know you're a bigger actor, cool, but I've never seen him, and I just said, oh, hi, and I'm like, oh, you idiot, why didn't you salute? Why didn't you ask him about, like, The Wire? Why didn't you do anything? If I could go back in time, I think I would for that even than Morgan Freeman giving me a hug.
Lance, he's got an excellent voice as well.
Oh, he's brilliant. And he's still like, The Wire was what, 18 years ago it started, 15 years ago, and he still looks just as perfect as he did then. He's so cool.
And Patrick, before we move on, I would definitely throw out that your Morgan Freeman voice sounds way more like Richard Nixon than Morgan Freeman.
I should have done a spoiler. I'm not an actor, and I'll stick to trying to write books, because I can't even imitate goddamn Morgan Freeman.
If it makes you feel better, I can't either, so.
I don't feel better, but thank you. And then I just want to ask Jed about Slashed. I saw David Grohl's in that, who is one of the coolest rock and rollers ever. Please tell us about that.
Hardly anyone talks about Slash, but it seems like you and your mates talk about Slash, which is great.
We're wankers, so we're I'm not sure if that film's gonna come out, to be honest. What?
It's I know it's obviously got full of the coolest people doing the weirdest stuff, but we don't really have a start for the film. We don't really have an ending for the film. It's chaos. That film's chaos. It's got so many famous people in it. It's stupid as well. It's just really stupid. And I wrote it, but I wrote it to be I didn't even really try. And it's to be quite honest, and it's stupid. And there's a big kind of, there's a lot of people that want to see it, basically. Obviously, a lot of Coldplay's fan base, Foo Fighters fan base, just loads of different fan bases that want to see it. But because we don't have a start and an end, we can't really release it in the format that we'd like. So what we'd probably do is do a documentary about it, because it's so crazy. It's probably better as a talking head podcast, why the hell did you do this film to Dave Grohl? Or
you could put me and Haley and the rest of the girls and create this weird, I don't know, daydream.
Yeah.
You guys hit your heads and all of a sudden you're in Slashed.
Look, man, all I heard was head and podcast. So if you were talking with us, you can come on with David Grohl and the girls anytime.
It's
Like
so
on
cool.
Moby too.
You, Patrick?
Yeah.
I'm shameless. I'm sorry.
but like it's so cool because like there are some really cool stuff in it, like Chris Martin. He really gets into it, and he like they flew me to LA to like write it like backstage while they were like touring and stuff, so I got to kind of like live this weird life for like a little bit. And he plays a character called Sherlock Bones, which is just ridiculous, and like he almost forced me to write that because I got there and he went to me, okay, Jed, I decided my character would be called Sherlock Bones, and he genuinely had a pipe in his mouth at the time as well. I'm not joking. And then he
You can't say no.
I couldn't say no, and he says to me, I really want to chop up Johnny. I really want to chop him up. So can you write that I chop him up? And at that point, Johnny was playing his sidekick. So it didn't really make any sense. And then they just go around solving the supernatural murder from this weird murdered bride. It is just the most ridiculous movie ever. And there's just loads of famous people. Weezer's in it as well. And we had Snoop Dogg in it playing God, Snoop God. And yeah, we did.
Never heard of this. I like.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you about it one day. It's crazy. That's why you haven't heard of it. And but like this is weird because like Snoop Dogg said he'd be in it, so his people emailed me like roughly what he wanted to do, and I was like, okay. And this film was ridiculous at this point. Don't forget, I originally wrote it as a 15-minute short, and then all these people wanted to be in it. I was like, this is just stupid. And then so like. He's Snoop Dogg. He's a multi-millionaire, and he was like, "I'll do it for $5,000." I'm like, $5,000? That's you would use that to wipe your nose, Snoop Dogg. Why do you want $5,000 from this movie that's no one's got any money in it? And so that's why he didn't play God in the end, and we replaced him with a member of Weezer. And it's just all this crazy. Oh, there's this one story I'll quickly tell you. We had Robbie Williams from Take That.
Yep.
Do you know the band Take That?
I don't know who Take That is.
It's this boy band.
We know him better from his like solo stuff, which is actually like 15 years ago, Millennium and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Take That never made it here.
He never made it in America, but he wanted to get into acting at one point, and he wanted to be in it. So I wrote him this scene where he does a séance. And honestly, this documentary. This is crazy, right? And this is no joke. The documentary for this film is going to be.
I love Emma's laugh over that.
I'll tell you what happened. And this story I've not said before as well. So on any podcast. So I wrote a séance. It was between the band Ash and Robbie Williams, and it was meant to be all these murders were happening, and they were just like chilling backstage, and they decided to do a séance to try and figure out why these things are happening, and. So I was in London, and I just sent the script to them to record to do with Robbie Williams and Ash, and then so like the next day I was like, did you guys film it? And they were like, there was no answer, and I was like, Mark, the bass from Ash, Mark, did you film it? No answer. I was calling them, what's happened, and about a week later, I got a message from Mark saying we filmed it, but we had to delete the footage because something happened during the séance. And it was really bad, and Robbie refuses to. He doesn't want this released, and Mark, who's my main friend from Ash, he apparently got possessed. He refused to join the band on stage for a bunch of their shows, and their management was blaming me for like some of their tour dates messed up because I made them do a séance. Right?
What?
This is all true. And then. But I was like, it's really important that we film this, so we need to film it again. So they filmed it again, but without Robbie Williams, they used. Do you remember Dashboard Confessional?
Yes. Yeah, from the 8th grade.
Yeah. So Dashboard Confessional was doing some kind of like festival or something, and we just needed anyone. And he was he wasn't cool anymore, but he basically stepped in for Robbie Williams just because he was.
Chris Carrabba will always be cool.
Yeah. So it's just this weird movie that no one's really seen. We showed 20 minutes of it about 5 years ago to people just to see if there's any interest, and there was loads of interest. But yeah, it's weird. It's a very weird
Wait. So you have a film somewhere where Robbie Williams gets possessed?
Yeah. But like
in a seance, real life.
yeah, but almost all of that of his stuff is deleted because we refilmed it with someone else.
So you deleted it? Are you mad?
No, I didn't delete it. They deleted it because something happened and someone got possessed, apparently.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, you're making me rethink this live seance next week. Not joking.
Spoiler.
So yeah, it's fine. We're doing a seance on Friday with Slash Film.
So
Do you know-
that's why we never heard anything after Millennium from Robbie Williams. You broke him.
It's okay, I'll do it.
So,
Oh no.
Jed, let me just. Sorry, Haley, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna make a joke that it was because of Jed. It wasn't because it was terrible or anything.
Yeah. One thing, guys, I do have another podcast to jump onto in like 10 minutes or something. So sorry, but I want to jump off quite semi soon.
No worries.
No worries. I just got one question. You
Yeah.
said you were barely even trying, if that, and somehow you got. Just one of those people would be like, "Holy shit!" Dave Grohl, Snoop Dogg, Weezer, all the others. So okay, and you don't want to release it. Hey, why don't you make a film about making a shitty film that makes no sense or whatever?
That's exactly what I think we should do. And we've got all the footage, and I personally think that, so the band Ash have the footage in a vault, and they've best been waiting until I do something that's noteworthy until like they release it, and I think this probably counts. So I'll be talking to them shortly to see if we can like release it in some form. Do you know it's a license to print money, that footage we've got. It's unbelievable the stuff we've got.
Well, now I know that Snoop Dogg costs $5,000. Like, that's gonna be my next birthday if I do well this year.
Yeah, but it was just for him to play God though, surrounded by beautiful girls. And he just literally had to sit there and say like 2 lines. But yeah.
Brendan, is there anything that you want to ask him before we wrap it up?
No, I think it's really cool that we got the exclusive. That the entire reason you made Host was just to get access back to that footage. That's crazy. Actually, I did want to ask you. You're going to be working with Sam Raimi. Tell us a little bit about that before you have to go.
Unbelievably working with Sam Raimi. So Sam Raimi is my hero. He's my favorite director, and the same with Rob. And we basically had the opportunity to meet up with him because he loved our film Salt and Dawn of the Deaf, and he asked if we had anything else, and we pitched him our very best idea, and he went for it. So yeah, over the last few months we've just been cracking it. During making Host, actually, we've been cracking that story and making it as good as it possibly can be. And we're at the table read stage now with Sam, and it's cool. It's very cool, and it's going to be incredible when people see what it actually is, because we've been very coy about it, but it's very cool.
You just really the call to be in it, Jed. So
Yeah, so
He has seen Dawn of the Deaf, so you know.
hey, has he seen Host?
He said he would see Host this week, but he's busy. He's got stuff to do.
Oh my!
Hopefully he sees it.
Tell me if he does.
I don't know how he would miss it at this point.
Yeah.
Is there anything that all three of you or any of you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, just that. Thank you very much for inviting us on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
great.
You both.
Our absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Cheers, man.
This was
Thank
really
you.
You guys are great to chat with.
Oh, thank you. And just throwing this offer out there, for as long as this podcast is on, you three or any of your other friends want to come on, let us know. We'll like to promote y'all.
Yay,
Awesome.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
thank you, Brendan, for joining us as always. Thank you, Jed. Thank you, Haley. And thank you, Emma. It was a true pleasure to talk to y'all. And if you have not seen Host yet, watch it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.